Strolling through the woods where the shadows dance, chasing wild dreams, taking every chance. With a friend named Bigfoot, side by side we roam. Outlaws of the forest, this place feels like home. Join the gang, it's a wild ride. Bigfoot outlaw, living free and bold, chasing wild dreams, never growing old. We run with the wolves under the silver sky. With a friend named Bigfoot, we'll never say goodbye. Memories that we can't forget, laughing under the stars.
Well, hello there. Welcome, everybody, to another edition. And welcome there. We got Leonard in the house. We got Brian Barber. Nice to see you there. Joey, nice to see you. And Curtis with his pineapple Bigfoot t-shirt. Nice to see you.
Yeah, we ought to make Curtis's the outfit that he wore down when he took his little Florida vacation or whatever. We got to make that a permanent backdrop of the set here.
Right, isn't that the truth?
Yeah, like the Hawaiian Bigfoot flavored looked like some overgrown pajamas or something.
But right, isn't that true? Hey, Mike, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing good. This is like I gotta go back to work next week, so this is my last good week, right? So
right. Well, tonight, Mike, we have somebody that made his name in the Bigfoot world a few years ago. And how he did it was unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody knows him. He started out on our show a couple years ago with his research information and how he investigates in his evidence. Now, does this Michigan Bigfoot researcher have Bigfoot DNA? That is the question. And I think once we go over his evidence and what he, or I should say, how he collected it and how he stored it, is going to make a company kind of famous. So, what do you think about that, Mike?
You know, a lot of DNA evidence with Bigfoot comes back as unknown species or unknown
Unidentified.
primate. You know, the strands are between human and gorilla or something like. It's like as close to a human strand as you can get without it being human. Ketchum study, Dr. Ketchum had a little portion of human in the strand, and I'm just, of course, Brian's a friend, and I could have asked him, like, we could have had conversations all week long about this. I said, no, I'm just going to hold back, and I'm going to wait for the show. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we've got here.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's reveal this Michigan Bigfoot researcher. Brian, how you doing?
There he is.
Good. How we doing?
So after you get, hello, Amy, after you get law enforcement called on you and everything else throughout your career, introduce yourself to everybody and give us a little brief background on you.
Well, I got to admit that you talk about making a company famous. We either get a sponsorship or a cease and desist order out of this. One of the two.
I'll take either at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I grew up in Brian Barber and grew up in Benzie County, Michigan. You know, Bigfoot was a thing for me growing up. My grandma had property with activity on it, and it's documented in Benzie County's government center, the police reports. So Bigfoot has been a thing for me pretty much my whole life. I had my first sighting in 1987, and obviously that was before the shows were popular, so you really couldn't talk about it.
Right.
So I thought that until 2019, and then started getting involved with the Facebook groups and things like that, and wanted to confirm what I had seen. And during that time, everybody had a lot of time on their hands. So a friend pointed me in a direction to a place not far from me, and went out and hit a home run the first day. So after that, the rest is, kind of history with the peanut butter, and started gifting. And as you said, got law enforcement on me. And and it's been a life changer for sure, because obviously being able to be on this platform with you guys, and now, as I mentioned in a show a couple weeks ago, the journey's come pretty much full circle, because now I get to investigate property that butts right up to my grandma's old property. And the amount of evidence that I'm finding there shows that they never left. So since the 60s, they've been in this area. Just the amount of evidence.
They haven't gone anywhere, have they?
No. And they're even getting, their dog just started not going out at night, barking at the woods, and he just thought that was odd. And then all of a sudden, all three neighbors on that road said the same thing. None of their dogs are out in the woods. So.
Wow. Now let's talk about your law enforcement experience while you was investigating. Walk us down that road, how that unraveled.
So that came about because I did what everybody told me not to do. And I started trying to use food to collect evidence and get interactions, and started leaving peanut butter out, and not in a traditional way. At first I would open the jar and then open the tin foil and put the lid back on the jar and leave it. But once things started disappearing, we started off with 2-pound jars. And then once I caught a squirrel running off with a 2-pound jar, I thought, well, I'll fix you, and started using 4-pound jars. And then
4 pounds.
yeah,
It's like those big, huge things. Yeah.
Yeah, the big ones. That way the squirrels aren't going to run off with them. But we started getting them. Of course, you get the ones with the animals chew on and, chew the bottoms off or chew the tops. But then we started finding tracks with peanut butter jars that were like clean. And a lot of the time, the lids would be screwed back on. So as that happened, I started putting more and more out, and we were up to 6 different spots with 4-pound peanut butter jars. This goes on for a couple of years, and I had some great stuff found. I mean, the one that pops in my mind right off the bat is the one that I had colored popsicle sticks underneath it, and then bungee corded the jar to the tree. And when we came back 3 days later, the popsicle sticks were laid out by color on the ground, and the jar was about 8 feet off with the lid on it. So I had to shimmy up and knock it down with a stick. And then inside the jar was the seal peeled off and then rolled up like a Cheech and Chong paraphernalia.
Yeah.
Inside
Now,
the jar.
do you have a example of that jar with you?
Yeah. It's over here.
So, ladies and gentlemen, a 4-pound jar of peanut butter is not a small jar at all.
Oops.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that. And how many of those a week were you putting out?
6. Oh, 9 total.
Oh, you're getting them addicted on that stuff.
I mean, it's not marked on it. It's beautiful. It's pristine condition.
Yeah.
See?
And you said the lids were found screwed back on the jars. Is that correct?
A lot of the time. Not all the time. Probably half. A little less than half. But the rest of the time, it was like almost like a trail, because you would find the wrapper or the label, walk a little farther, and then you would find the lid, walk a little farther, and then you find the jar.
Now, you're putting 9 jars out a week. That's a lot of money. Now, let me ask you this. Everybody always wants to know, Mike and I know, does Bigfoot or Sasquatch like extra crunchy peanut butter?
Not the ones I deal with. Won't touch it.
I always gave them creamy. I never even tried the crunchy.
I don't like the
creamy
crunchy
too.
peanut. No.
I don't even like the crunchy myself. But if I want that, I'd eat peanuts.
Right? Thank you. Thank you. So how did law enforcement get involved on you?
So what happened was I had a friend who goes with me a lot, and I missed several weeks due to my tricep tear. And when I went back, my license plate was in my truck, because I have a trailer hitch, so I put the license plate in my truck window, but the truck window's tinted. And then what happened was she went with me with her truck. They got her license plate number. They went to her house and left their card saying, "We want to talk to Brian."
Wow.
So I called them not knowing what to expect. And so that conversation was pretty intense for me, because I don't know what's going on. The most bizarre thing that sticks to my mind is the fact that in Benzie County, we have a local DNR office. It's 15 minutes from where I was going. It's only half hour from where I live. Yet they had somebody drive an hour and a half from Cadillac to come to Benzie County. So it was some kind of, I don't want to put them on blast, but I still got their card.
Unbelievable. So what was the conversation like? What did they say?
So the conversation started with the fact that I was feeding the animals. The animals were causing problems with the residents, because there's the conservancy on one side of the road, and then there's private houses on the other, but there's only 2. Well, there's 3 private properties, 2 have houses. The far end we just use for like an RV that they bring up. And the animals were getting too close to the houses. They were causing problems, and the bears were coming out of hibernation. So the bears were causing issues with people.
So they said that the people are complaining about what type of animals?
Yeah, that's my question.
Bears specifically.
Do you have a lot of bears?
No. There's a lot of bears in Benzie County, but as that phone call went on, and she kept saying bears, the bears are causing issues. I said, well, they got bait piles for the deer and they got bird feeders. I mean, what? And she goes, well, technically you're littering. No, well, okay, yeah, I'm doing that. And the bears are causing a problem. And I said, bears? And I asked her if it was being recorded, and she said no. So I said, well, bears don't normally leave 23-inch tracks, throw rocks at me and hit my foot with rocks. And she went, excuse me? And I went, no. I pushed my luck far enough. I'm not saying anymore. And then she told me that she wanted to see my trail cams. I said, well, I don't put trail cams out because I worry about people stealing them. And then she wanted to see, she's like, what do you got on your phone? And I went, nothing of interest and nothing that, not to be mean, but you're not going to see without a piece of paper. And
Right.
she was okay. And she's like, well, technically, these peanut butter jars are yours. We got a few of them. Do you want them back? And not thinking, because I'm so nervous of what's going to happen with this. I just says, well, what kind of shape are they in? And she says, well, a lot of them are chewed up, but some of them are, got the lids on and really clean. And she says, I got to ask you a question. She says, why do you have one date on the top and one date on the bottom? What do you mean? And I don't remember the dates exactly, but it would have been like 6/11 on the top and 7/14 on the bottom. And I didn't do that. I did date the jars, but what I would do is I would date the top and the bottom with an initial of where I put it. So if I put it in the pipe that I did, I would put 611P on the top and 611P on the bottom. So then that way, if I found the lid, then I knew where, and found the jar, I could put the two together. But they were finding them with the lids and jars put together with two different dates.
Okay, well, yeah, that they're.
So I just told her no, and I said, so what's going to happen now? And she's like, well, they're not going to kick you out. So all they want you to do is to quit feeding the bears and clean up what you got, and you're fine. Just don't do it again, or we're going to hit you with the littering, and they're going to kick you out of it.
Kick you out of what?
The conservancy. It's
okay.
It's not state land. It's conservancy, so it's private property.
Okay.
So then when I go out as I'm cleaning some of this stuff up, one of the neighbors go out. One neighbor I get along with. The other one we don't get along at all. We got off to a rough start, and it just never was good. And they came out to me while I was cleaning it up, and they're like, "Oh, we're so sorry we had to call the DNR." And I'm like, "Why?" They had my number, so I'm still confused. I'm like, "Why didn't you just call me and tell me what was going on? What happened? What did I do wrong?" And she says, "Well, after you were gone for a couple of weeks, our motion lights were coming out. So we watched the footage, and there were peanut butter jars bouncing through our yard."
Wow.
So, yeah, they were trying to get the attention, and then it was about a week after that, and I feel bad about this still, which is why I won't feed them anymore. The house that hate me, and I'm sure really hate me now, the little girl woke up screaming, and dad goes in, and there's a Bigfoot peeking in her bedroom at night, peeping at the second story window.
Wow.
Second story window. Wow.
Wow.
So
that's a big Bigfoot.
Yeah, I'm sure that was the one that was leaving those 23-inch tracks out there.
Well, 20. Yeah, you're talking about one that's going to be pushing 12 foot tall there.
Yeah.
23-inch tracks.
Yep, and find them. It's not like I only found one. Find that one time. I mean, not a dozen. Probably less than 10, but more than 5. And if you find the 23, you'll find the 17-inch not far from it.
Yeah, that's the big one there, the 23. They really like the peanut butter, and they're like, give us more peanut butter, darn it.
Yeah, and there was different brands put out and different size jars, and and as Scott alluded to earlier, crunchy, and it wouldn't touch the crunchy. And I thought maybe it's a color thing because the creamy had red lids and the crunchy had blue. So I thought, I'll fix it. And switch the lids, and they didn't touch it. They took the blue one.
Wow.
Yeah.
And like I
Wow.
said, it's not like I opened the jars.
Right.
I literally took them off the shelf and put them out in the woods.
Yeah, incredible.
So,
They got a level of intelligence it's a lot of times beyond what we comprehend.
oh yeah, I mean, when they turn around and the one freaked out and stole the pop off my bumper, I was a little mad about that. I don't get an A&W cream soda very often. They're few and hard to find here, but I left it on my bumper and I went into the woods to put peanut butter out. And normally when I go in the woods, I would flap twice to see what kind of mood they're in because every so often you'll get a knockback even during the day. And I thought, oh, I'll try something different. So I rattled my keys real loud. And it's maybe 30 yards, maybe 30 to my truck in the woods where I park. And as soon as I rattle those keys, I hear crash, crash. So I just hustle back. I'm not going to say run because I can't run, but I waddle back to my truck and just in time to see a big set of reddish orange shoulders and head go over the bluff. And there's some 17-inch imprints around my truck, and that was when it hits me. It's like, where's my pop? So,
Wow. So you've been out in the woods for years now. What other evidence have you found?
are we hitting? Are we hitting toward the topic now?
Yes.
Some Bigfoot poo.
So you actually think you found Bigfoot feces?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, what I think is right, ironically, under the butt. In this,
Here, hold it back up for the camera. I'm gonna blow you up here.
Oh man.
So what is in
I'm
that
looking at
grow box?
I notice it is labeled, so when we talk about being in the freezer, Brian's poop, don't touch.
So what makes you think that's Bigfoot?
So when we were walking and found it, I mean, it's huge. What we did find in the snow was I wear a size 15 shoe, and it is at least a time and a half longer than my shoe, and bigger than bigger than a Coke can.
What? Shut the front door.
I guarantee you that is why they scream. Because that's 6'3", and I don't poop it like that.
Wow.
So it's frozen to the ground, and I had just talked to a friend of mine, and we were talking about how to gather evidence. So luckily, I did have a couple Ziploc bags with me. Unfortunately, I did not have rubber gloves, and as gross as it sounds, it's like it was frozen solid to the ground. And so I dug as much as I could up with my hand. That's what I got off the ground. So that's
now how long was that?
That's a pop can.
How long was it around? How long was it? Like 16 inches, 12 inches?
What's the size of the soda can there, right?
Oh, that's your regular pop can, 16-ounce can, I think.
16.
Now, was this the only piece you found, or just a section of the piece?
That's the only thing I could pry off the ground. That's not even a quarter of.
Okay, so it was a whole bunch more.
Yeah, there's a picture I sent you with my shoe.
Frozen to the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and I clicked it off. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. Well, that's a bag. Let me go forward here. There we go. Okay, now walk us through this picture.
Okay, that was just to show how wide it was. That's your regular snack size bag of goldfish. So it's almost, half a bag of goldfish wide.
A half a
Yeah.
bag of goldfish line.
Looks like maybe a little more than half, but
Yeah.
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 So, and again, I wear a size 15, and it was my foot plus some.
That was the whole thing, was your foot plus some, and you got
Yeah,
that
my foot plus probably
portion.
another half foot. So I know I sent him one with my shoe in it. If you find that one,
Let's see here. No, I don't see it, Brian.
I think it was before he sent me. Let me see. Yeah, do my phone.
Oh, I've got it. I got it. All right, I've got this picture here. There we go.
Yeah, so my heel's at the beginning
wow.
of it, and you can see how much farther that is up over my foot.
So what's that, about 18, 19 inches long?
Well, if he's wearing a size 15 shoe,
That's longer than that.
I mean, the shoe itself is going to be 14, 15 inches. So you're talking about 20, a little over 20 inches of it. Probably
feces.
20.
That's why I say. That's why they scream. I mean,
My goodness. Maybe that's
a chunk of poop.
boy, a lot of
See how frozen it is too. So now imagine how dumb I am by grabbing that thing with my bare hands.
Bare hands?
Bare hands. My gloves wouldn't pull on it, so I had to use fingernails. So yeah, I had it under my fingernails.
I was going to say that, Grizzly, there's a lot of sarcastic things we can say, but I'm going to try to keep it clean.
The things I do.
Unbelievable.
The things I do for science. Sacrifices I make.
Now, did you notice any smell or anything?
Not at first. I mean, it was frozen, so
It was frozen
like,
at first, so yeah.
Yeah, so what I did was I got what I could, put it in the bags, and then I threw it in my backpack. And then as I'm walking, it's like, what the heck is that god awful smell? I mean, I can't use the language on here I was saying, but mother trucker, what stinks? And then it dawned on me that the heat through I was melting it with my body heat through my bag. So I'm like, oh man, I gotta go put this in the truck. This is horrible.
And the bag was sealed, so you're smelling that through the sealed bag.
Yeah, through my and through my backpack.
Wow.
So I take it back to the truck and throw it in the, I had a crew cab, so I just threw it in the back seat. I didn't drive 50 feet, and I'm like, oh no, this got to go in the way back. So then I put it in the way back, and the inside of my truck stunk for 3 days, and the back stunk.
Oh, wow.
I could not get that smell out. That was horrible. This is bad. I'm sorry, but it was like when I was out investigating the other day, I got lost and I stepped in dog crap. And sometimes you don't smell till you get in the car.
Right.
So I smell it. I'm like, you know what? Compared to Bigfoot crap, that's actually rather pleasant.
That's funny.
So, but yeah, so then I stuck it in the, I called my buddy because we had talked and he supposedly had a friend who wanted to look at it and come up and get it he would be up to get it in a couple days. Totally forget him. So only thing I had laying around was the sweetened little box. I had to figure out what to put it in. So I put it in the sweetened little box, duct tape it, try to label it so nobody will touch it. And then a few days go by, I never hear anything from him, and I totally forget about it. It's just in the freezer. That is until I go on a show one night with Grizzly, and then I'm like, hey, wait a minute. You know what? I've got this in my freezer, as a matter of fact. And I had, to the best of my knowledge, I can't say for sure, but to the best of my knowledge, I had told my girlfriend there was a box of Bigfoot poo in the freezer. But it seemed to have slipped her mind during the show, because next thing I know is I see her pop up in the chat. There's a what in my freezer? And then I hear it coming from down the hall. And so now I'm on live. I'm on the internet getting busted for having Bigfoot poop next to the Christmas roast.
Now, wasn't another occasion that you actually found some more scat?
Yeah, that was later that summer. And what had happened was it was actually in the fall, because there was a ditch that runs alongside the service road. And I thought I saw a print on the side of the hill. So I stepped into the leaves and then sank in something like like if you step in wet cement or something, mud.
Right.
You know, it's squishy, and it's like, what the? And then the smell hit me. It's like, oh, I know what this is. And just took my shoe off, and my friend's like, "Were you gonna walk?" And I'm nope, I'm staying here. So I left my boot right in the Bigfoot mush, because it wasn't like that. It was, I don't know what it ate, but it didn't agree with it.
I didn't agree with it.
No, it definitely bit the Bigfoot back, because it was mush pile. It went up over. I had a high top on for ankle support, and it went over the high top. So I just left the high top in the Bigfoot poo, and my other shoe with it.
So when you got this evidence, right, and the scat, was there other signs of Bigfoot in the area?
Oh yeah, we have. We played the recording a few times of the growl that I got while I was there. That's the same road, but the opposite side of where I got chased. My friend and I got chased out one night. We saw, excuse me, she was stage 4 cancer, so she wanted to go for a ride. And I'm like, well, I don't get out to my area after dark. Let's go for a ride out there and see if maybe we can catch some eye shine or something. And she didn't believe in Bigfoot, but she wanted to get out.
Yeah.
And so we went for a ride, and I could see deer tracks come down one side of the road, and then the road was a sheet of ice. And just a little farther up, I saw deer tracks going up the other side of the road. But there were two huge prints covering a good distance, and it didn't kick snow like the deer did. I mean, they were two perfect tracks in the snow. And I'm like, hey, I know what did that. And she's like, yeah, right, whatever. And I said, well, let's go look to see what we can find. And so I took a picture before we went in. And then, so we start walking up the hill, and we're going up in the dark. Decided to go in dark. And we're pushing snow up to our knees and hearing little sticks break and stuff like that. So not thinking anything of it until we crest the hill. And then we hear a crack. And she, cursed, and she's like, what is that? I'm like, I don't know. So I turned the light on. And right at the edge of the beam was an 8-footer with reddish brown hair. As soon as that light came on, it took its right arm and went like this.
Oh, wow.
Over its face. And I turned around and I put my keys in her hand. And as I did that, it roared. It wasn't a whoop or a grunt. It was mad. It was way louder than that. And it vibrated right through you just about. It felt like I was at a Boston concert and the clothes vibrated. And I told her, I said, if I'm not behind you in 30 seconds, you go, because you got the keys. And so we're trying to get down the hill, and whatever it was, you could hear follow us.
How far were you from the roar?
What's up?
How close were you when he roared at you?
15 feet.
Oh man, that's.
Oh wow.
Yeah, just at the edge of the flashlight beam, short woods.
And that's. That'll go right through you.
Yeah, that'll rattle your cage, all right.
Yeah, so as we're going down the hill, she's not moving fast enough for me. So she was only 105 pounds at that point. Now I was pushing 270. So I'm picking her up and pushing her down the hill. And so we get her in the truck. And when my feet hit that road, I slip and fall under my truck. And I can hear whatever it is. It must have stopped right at the tree line or something. But you can hear it bleeding. And next thing I know, my truck starts. Well, I'm underneath it. And
She's not going to wait for you.
in my mind is, am I going to get run over, or am I going to get my butt kicked by Bigfoot? So luckily, I got out from underneath it, and she jumped over, and we just backed down the hill. And nobody said anything for about a mile. And then I finally says, "You know what? I think I want a drink." And she's like, "Yeah, me too, but we can't go to the bar. We got to stop at Shell first." And I'm like, "What? No, I don't need gas. I want a drink." And she's like, "No, no, no." And she had snow pants on, and she had wet her pants when it roared.
Wow.
So we stopped at Shell. She went in, threw her pants in a bag, and kind of deja vu of having Bigfoot poop in my back. I had Shauna P jeans in the back of the truck, and we stopped and had a couple drinks at the bar on the way home. And then the next day we went back because I said, I want to see what it looks like. And we went back, and I tried to recreate those steps because I knew right where we were at because there's a cable post for the cable company. So I knew right where it was at. And even though the wind had blown a little bit and covered some of them, you could still see the tracks. And the two perfect tracks, I think it took me 9 or 10 in the video.
Oh, that's huge.
And I'm kicking snow. I mean, I'm up to my knees kicking snow. It's not a clear print like the other two were. And so that was what impressed me. And then not only that, I had heard when Bigfoot walk, because of their hip structure, that their feet kick out a little bit as they bring as that step comes up.
Right.
And in the track, in the snow, you can see that little outside notch where that heel started to come around. So I'm like,
So you also have other evidence out there too. Talk about this picture.
Oh, one of the tree structures. Yeah, there's lots of them. That's actually on the property that I'm on now. Well, I'm not gonna say it's not the only property, but the stuff that butts up to my grandma's property. And you see all those trees just get stacked like that and then come to a point. The weird part is I've only found one glyph over in my one I've been at for 4 years, but the one that butts up to my grandma's property, I've already found 2, and I've only been out there 3 times.
Oh, wow. Well, Mike, I have been in the woods almost all my life, off and on. I've never seen anything like that. Have you?
Like the scat?
The
No.
Scat.
No. No,
So,
I mean, I've seen the tree structures. I've seen the prints up to 24 inches. The Bigfoot himself, but never that. Never anything that even closely resembled that. But people ask me, where do they do their number 2s at or whatever, and I say somewhere where I don't know because I've never seen it.
right.
But I here's what's interesting though, Brian, and the story is it's so like many others. You guys obviously upset this Bigfoot shining that light in his eyes at 15 feet and getting the scream, getting him to pursue you a little bit, but he didn't do what he could have done.
Yep.
And that's just dismantle both of you. And didn't he lay a hand on you? And so many people, their intimidation is so great, but so many people go untouched physically.
Right.
But boy, it'll stick with you mentally as long as you live, won't it?
Oh yeah.
Well, not only that, but he's got something that in his possession that a lot of people actually would like to look at and
Yeah.
probably analyze it, not only for maybe some possible DNA, it's probably broken down, but what is in the contents of it, right?
What do they eat?
Peanut
Things
butter.
like that. A lot of peanut butter.
Peanut butter.
It's one of those. You got your own little Reese's peanut butter cup there, a little chocolate and peanut butter. No.
Well, and that was when I found out that you're supposed to put it on paper. I was bummed because I thought, man, the outside DNA is gone. And now it's like, well, what do I do with it? It's like I've had it so long; it's kind of like a family heirloom at this point. So probably be part of the kids' inheritance.
Hey, gold so high, you may want to get it dipped in gold. Hey, that'd be in the Guinness Book of World's Record. Michigan Bigfoot researcher has gold-plated Bigfoot feces.
Talk about a golden turd.
Yeah, right.
Out of a golden egg.
I mean, do you see the width? I mean, that's a big bunghole.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Look at Mike. Look at Mike.
Yeah. My question is, if you ever had anybody look at it, or just keep it to
well, I have spoken to somebody, Brian and Mike, and they are kind of interested in it. He's a world famous professor. We're not going to mention his name. And I kind of broke it to him that that Brian, which is a credible witness, and the reason why is that not only the evidence that he's provided over the years and in the past, but also when I first met Brian with Val, we actually interviewed him police interrogation, and Brian passed. There was no signs of deceit or any confusion. He was pretty adamant, and all my boxes lined up, and I checked them. So yeah, that's why Brian's part of the Bigfoot Outlaw family.
Yeah. Now you mentioned a world famous professor. It's either the professor on Gilligan's Island who's now deceased or somebody else. There's not too many world famous professors, are there?
Let alone ones that want to look at poo.
Yeah, right. So if anybody knows about DNA, like Brian stated, if you do not use paper, which it can breathe, when it comes to live specimens, which I mean flesh and blood is live, right? We're not talking objects as sticks or anything like that or whatever else that you come up with. But anything with plausible DNA, it's got to be in a breathable container. However, I'm not saying technology will not change in the future for them to extract it. However, people are interested in the contents. And that's what's very interesting as well, because a lot of people claim to have Bigfoot scat. And once you start looking at it, you're like, no, I don't think that's from Bigfoot. Now, don't get me wrong. We don't have specimens to say this is from Bigfoot in 1975. He was 12 foot tall, 950 pounds. His blood type was HQZ instead of AB or B positive. I have no idea what kind of blood they have. But, it's just, and Mike, you've seen stuff over the years too. And when Brian first told his story, I was like, shut the front door. I'm like, either this guy is a loon or he's out there in the woods playing with poo-poo trying to, cast it.
It's like you say, you ask the questions. If somebody tells me they saw Bigfoot, they know that I'm into it, and they say, hey, I saw Bigfoot. I'm going to ask specific questions that require specific answers. And if they're making it up, you know it. And if they're sincere, you pretty well know it, and that's like you did with Brian. He says, you start asking the specific questions and getting the right answers. You can kind of tell. You know,
Oh, absolutely.
if somebody's
And
being sincere or not.
yeah, the running joke there for a few years was, ladies and gentlemen, if you go out in the woods and you're investigating Bigfoot, make sure and take a sweet and low box for safety.
Yeah, a sweet and low evidence case.
But I like go back to his Brian's conversation with the law enforcement. It's like the bears. They
Yeah.
you know my conservation agent a few years ago told me, don't leave the apples out for the Sasquatches because it's deer season and you might be baiting for deer.
Well, that makes sense.
He
I
says,
mean, I can't just tell that.
You're okay for me to bait for Bigfoot, but not deer. He says, nobody's hunting Bigfoot.
That's right. Now, how can you convince a fish and wildlife officer or a DNR officer if you're out in the middle of the woods sitting on a pile of apples with binoculars and night vision? You ain't going to think you're poaching.
Yeah. But he was concerned about others using, if others would shoot deer in that area. I wasn't even thinking about that. Oh, my bad. We'll go somewhere else then.
Right.
Do it some other time. So
absolutely.
But,
yeah, and that's why I don't feed them anymore. Because
or just don't.
Others, so.
And that's I've heard both ways. I've heard people say don't do it. Just don't start it. Although I did it for a year on a private property in a controlled situation, but and I understand both arguments.
Well, and that's like the property I'm on now. I made a question about, hey, maybe we should leave it, like he did a jar of peanut butter. And I said, well, we can, but if we don't leave more, do you want them slapping on your house?
Right.
He's like, no.
Yeah.
Well, you don't want your dog coming up missing either.
No, and a lot of people out in the county where they live, even outside major cities, they have reports of Bigfoot pounding on the walls of the outside of the house trying to get attention to get fed. It's incredible.
Yeah, and that's just it. Because you hear that. Are they wanting food? That's the question. Are they wanting food? Or they wanting something else? Or they wanting But a lot of people will have that. They'll have them. I talked to I did a show a few years ago with a lady over near Springfield, where Mary Ann's from. That was on last week. She was north of Springfield. She says he knocks on her window between 2 and 3 every morning.
Mm.
I said, has it ever crossed your mind to open the window and see what he wants?
Yeah, I'll give him a damn air horn.
It's just like she just. I mean, so who knows? But
well, and that was the only reason why I got on the private property on the other side of the conservancy was because the owner has now passed away and it's in his grandkids' hands. And he had told me about feeding them and agreed that if I started, I would keep up, or if something happened, to let him know. And then he would put stuff out for me because he
so he already went through the process, it sounds like, of feeding them and stopping.
Once he had quit, they started moving his stuff around. He would come back for one of his summer stays, and he's got one of those concrete fountains that's in 2 pieces. And he'd find the top half in the woods, and that weighs 150 pounds.
Oh, wow.
And they would come up and bang on the camper or rock his camper if they weren't getting fed. And said he finally got it broke. But when he saw what I was doing on one side, he said, well, if you're here, here's my number. If you're not going to be here, let me know. So,
well, Brian, you know what they use out in the country when we were growing up on pests or people that shouldn't belong?
Yeah.
Rock salt and shotguns.
little rock salt in that shotgun. Oh.
Yeah, my buddy got his ass burnt when he was climbing that fence when the guy was chasing us out. Boy, he lit him up.
Ooh,
I thought it was real bird shot. The way it had hit the grass and in the trees. It scared the hell out of me. Unbelievable. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any Bigfoot evidence or you think it's Bigfoot evidence, you want us to look at it and bring you on the show, let us know. What do you think, Mike and Brian?
We'd be glad to. And
Yeah. Yeah. And if anybody knows somebody that wants to look at this, I want to know what's in it just as bad as anybody else. Because if I find out that there's like bratwurst and cheddar cheese and this guy was a hunter from Wisconsin, I'll kill your ass.
yeah.
My freezer all nothing.
A gray poupon.
Yeah. Had some 400-pound rednecks poo in my freezer for no good reason.
Yeah, that would be discouraging, right? But like I said, I cannot say definitively if it is or is not. But what makes me lean towards it more, like I was telling, we'll set his name on the air. Sorry, Professor, I won't do that. Is that the researcher, Brian, has a lot of other credible evidence in that area alone. Right. It's not like he just walked up on this pile and like, ooh, it's Bigfoot. There's other indicators, ladies and gentlemen. Tracks, holler, screams.
There's the key, Grizzly, right there. There's the key. And people will send me a picture. They'll send me a picture of a tree structure. What do you think? Is it big? Well, I have to go to the area to be sure to see, because if it's Bigfoot, there will be other evidence. There will be other signs. And
like this. Oops, I'm sorry.
Where he finds it, he's also seeing 23-inch footprints and blah, 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 blah. Bigfoot himself and all that. So it's not like you just, and then the size, you kind of do a little math, whether scientists, deductive reasoning.
Well, I challenge Brian to this task because he's got a plethora of activity in his areas that he goes. I would like to see Brian use a special type of UV light to see if he can pick up any urine in the woods at night. Look at Brian thinking. I never thought about that, did you, Brian?
I never thought about the UV light because actually the last time I was there, me and this guy went out and we took him for a walk and we got some aggressive huffs at the bottom of the hill. So I figured it was time, and he had peed by my car. The puppy did. And as we're coming back, it got real quiet, and I went to put him in the car and happened to glance over where he peed. And about my chest height down, I thought would look like the leaves were glistening. And I thought, what the heck? So I'm looking up for sap or something. And then I noticed that the leaves are drying as I'm looking at it. So something peed over the top of and was tall, and there was a lot of it because the ground was wet. So I don't know if somebody happened to walk down and pee where he did, or one of them walked up to pee because they didn't think he looked like it. So
yeah, and ladies and gentlemen, if you do not know anything about that, go out there and research DNA collection. And there are little kits that you can buy in between $10 to $27, where if you find something out in the woods, that maybe is a possibility, right? Because you don't want to waste these. I mean, you got to make sure you got enough evidence supported, and that way if you do get some droplets or a puddle, right, because if they go number 2, they got to go number 1.
And they do,
and they'll react to where you go number 1.
Oh yes, they will, just like deer.
Did I send you the pictures of the fence, or did I send them to Val? So there's a cattle gate and your typical wooden, what are they, 4x6 or whatever, posts.
Right.
And they're a little over, almost chest high, and there's 2 in between each one. And what I did was I had peed on it before going into the woods, and then when we came back the next week, that fence post was snapped in half. The other half was still in the ground. The top half was torn. And one post was leaning over toward the wood side. The bottom one was leaning toward
Oh,
the
that's
opposite.
crazy.
And I went, oh, nobody hit that with a car. That was a sign to me that don't do that again. Don't you come pee in our living room again. And I haven't gone in the woods since.
Wow.
See, it was labeled. I get
Yeah,
the
but
benefit of the
it
doubt.
doesn't say Bigfoot. It says Brian's. That's funny.
I didn't want them to gag. So.
Well, Brian, it's always a pleasure of you having you on our shows, and you have your own show on Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. So make sure, ladies and gentlemen, check out Brian and his endeavors. It's never a dull moment. We still razz Brian behind the scenes about the Sweet and Low box. I mean, when I need to go back to that show and find the Cliffits where I was screaming and laughing so hard when Elaine was like, "What the hell's that doing in the freezer? What's wrong with you?" You're like, "But baby, but honey, I told you." It was priceless, ladies and gentlemen. It sure was.
I thought me and the Sweet and Low box were going to have to get a hotel room for a while.
Yeah, it was bad. But it was funny as all get out. So, Mike and Brian, any last comments or anything?
This is one of the most
Thanks for
interesting
bringing me on.
programs I've been a part of.
Right. No, absolutely. And I thought it's been a while since we talked about Brian's Sweet and Low box and Bigfoot, possibly Bigfoot feces. One of the things that I remember the most before we wrap up is when Brian and I first talked was the stench, the smell of it, especially when he stepped in it the second time. So, and people are very descriptive in words and very colorful, but words cannot describe what Brian smelled or anything like that, and that's for sure. But hey, plausible. I mean, I applaud you because you use your bare hands and fingernails to take it out of the ground.
Oh.
So, yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, anytime that you're at the store and you see a Sweet and Low box, hey, just think about Brian and Bigfoot Outlaw. Ain't that right? Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. And it's always a pleasure to have Mike and Brian on the show. And like I said, if y'all have anything that you'll like to share, pictures, stories, or anything like that, reach out to us. We love to have you on and discuss it. Is that right, guys?
Yes, sir. Good show tonight, Brian. And
well, thanks for having me on, guys. It was fun. I always enjoy getting together.
Oh, absolutely.
We'll see you next week, right?
That's right. And from coast to coast, around the world. Godspeed, everybody. We'll catch you on the next show. Bye-bye.